Speaking of which, did you guys see the new art I got? The really
I did.
creepy
Yes.
one?
Yeah.
Um, it is
I don't know if you like the horror side of sci-fi.
you do or don't.
I've noticed you like
Oh,
it.
me, yes, I do. I'll put that in stream chat. Whoops. If I can.
I'm more into the cool device part of sci-fi.
I'm into different aspects, but the horror one for this antagonist was very intentional. I really wanted, like, I think we've gotten really used to the concept of like hive mind stuff,
uh,
but the way I've gone about it is really granular. So there you go, it's in the stream chat. The way I've gone about it is really, really specific. Like the conversion process is not sugar coated. There's no magic to it. It is very visceral. And so because I really want people to fear these creatures, like the idea of being taken alive by them should be just really, really scary.
Did you ever
you know
play
what was
Quake 4?
unexpectedly... Oh, sorry.
What, Tourmaline?
Did you ever play Quake 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole beginning with the first-person strugglification, that was messed up.
Oh yeah. No, that's actually a strong influence. Because the Revenant were originally created for good reasons. They're basically, there was a species that was, their sun was basically dying, and it was emitting this horrible radiation, and they couldn't escape because they were too far flung from the Scion network that the Aurorans used to get around. They were just too far flung, so they just didn't have a good escape route. So their society split into two groups. There was one that was going to attempt sojourn. They were going to just shoot themselves into space and see what happened. And then there was another faction that thought, no, we're going to stay here and just augment ourselves. We're going to transcend this. And they developed a technique by which they created like an artificial cell, and it would go into a biological cell and sort of fuse with it. And then through a process of synthetic mitosis, spread throughout the entire organism and convert them into a perfect machine copy. And it worked. Like, granted, they weren't very nice about it. When their society split, they sort of treated the sojourners with contempt, and vice versa. But it started to go wrong the more they expanded, because there's one thing they didn't expect. The more of these microorganisms that they added to this network, the less capable of higher thought they became, because their consciousness was so distributed. And so eventually, they became just driven by a basic instinct, which was their original purpose: replicate, survive, persist. And so they went out into the stars and just did that. They started converting entire planets because that just was what instinctually they felt needed to be done. And so they were originally kind of a threat that was not malicious. It just was their nature. But during the Auroran Civil War, the instigator, the one who went really bad and basically tore it all down, he saw these Revenant and used them. He made them his army, because he knew he could not tear down Auroran society with just a few traitors who'd been corrupted. And so he corrupted this entire network of machines. He imposed his will on it, and it started to cause them to degrade. And so they became more like vicious about it. And they started suffering replication errors because of this. And so they needed to start adding more things, more biological matter, and keep replacing the machines because they started degrading. And so as time has gone on, they've become more nightmarish in appearance and function. So I'm pretty fond of these creatures.
Much more dramatic than, well, actually no, it's not much more dramatic, just much more existential, I guess, than the Cairanian Civil War that I came up with. which is just sort of a power struggle between various factions.
Well, and
Yeah.
the other thing is, if you think about, I tried to think about what that experience would actually feel like. So, like, imagine having your thoughts, your awareness, buried in the chatter of a trillion voices, saying a trillion things at once, all guiding you towards one will, one agenda, that you are so overwhelmed by that eventually you lose yourself to it. And it's a very scary concept, you know?
You know what was unexpectedly scary?
What's that?
Rick's Android book.